Dead, Season 2, Episode 8, Nebraska Thoughts. So, another episode I love. Spoilers for every episode leading up to and including this one. The episode is rated TV-14, so with this video let's dive right in. Yeah, I really appreciate the episode, really appreciating the weight of what happened at the end of the episode right before it, because there is a lot to unpack. And yeah, like, we've never seen Herschel this distraught, and we've seen him, like, he admits this episode he didn't really think that he would be able to save Carl's life, so it's not like we haven't seen him experience something extreme, and obviously he cares. I'm not saying he didn't. Let's see. Yeah, where to start? I suppose yes, let's start with Herschel. So I really appreciate he actually does. Like I said, my video on the episode before this one, I thought he was going to say, all of you have to leave immediately. He only said that about Shane. He actually, despite all this, he manages to keep his calm composure, enough at least to just recognize, yeah, the problem here is Shane. Yeah, he wasn't the only shooter, but without him it wouldn't have happened. Any one of them could have gone to the barn. It's unclear exactly how many hours between them realizing, Glenn telling them and Shane, riling them all up. But in that time, nobody else, he went there, he checked the locks, he kept, like, yeah, and nobody else went there. Everybody else was just trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? And yeah, as soon as he got the idea in his head, within minutes they were shooting not at the inception of the original idea, but once he made the decision to do it. He didn't, like, sit down with the others and say, this is what I think we should do, and hear them out. He just decided, this is what we're doing, with me or against me, kind of thing. And yeah, he packs up his, his widow's things, and he acknowledges they really, they are not sick. There is nothing, and yeah, seeing Lou be shot by Shane did indeed, yeah, I'm, and and he, he gets out the little, I forget what those are called, like a little bottle thing that he had, and they talk about, oh, there's no alcohol in the house, so I guess maybe that thing was already empty. That does make a lot of sense. Although I will say, I mean, if he did get liquored up and then get behind the wheel of a car, the only reason he's driving drunk is because Shane drove him to drink. And the he is in the bar drinking, and some really great scenes in the bar. The conversation between Rick, Glenn, and he finally learned Glenn's name. He's not like, Glenn who are you talking about? No, he's like, oh, Maggie sent him. I feel like that's a pretty clear recognition. He doesn't ask, why did Glenn come? He specifically talks about Maggie, so he has now accepted Glenn is important to Maggie, and it's very sweet. And they're really sweet together as well. And Glenn, I'm telling you right now, you better tell that girl you love her. That is just, yeah, I understand how he, he was just so, like, he doesn't know how to react. He's never, no girl has ever said it to him, but you do not leave someone hanging on that. Especially if you do love them as well. Now, that brings us to the, let's see, what was the other thing with the, yeah, the conversation about hope. And Rick straight up saying, yeah, sometimes we don't have hope, but we have to project it for the people we're taking care of. And let's see, we have the thing of, so the ending of the episode. Yeah, me and names. Let's see, I'm gonna see if I can, so I think, let's see. Okay, so Tony and Dave, that's right, yeah. Yeah. Tony and Dave were... let's see, where to start? Because there's so much to talk about. Okay, I'll just start by saying, fantastic scene. I genuinely did not know exactly how the whole thing was going to go. The moment that they say that they need a place, that's when things really tense up. And it is this thing of like, it's pretty obvious that they're not, that Rick and Herschel are not telling the full truth, at least not from right away. Like, eventually they get to this point of saying, the farm is too crowded as it is, which, like, whether you, like, I don't know that they necessarily, I don't, I think Dave might perceive that as them saying there's no physical space left. If they are trying to tell as much of the truth as they can, I think what they're saying is the situation is already volatile. Like, yeah, holy crap. Shane, if they brought back these two randos, yeah, Shane is not going to be okay with that, and he already... yeah, when he's not okay with something, people, not always people, sometimes walkers, but sometimes walkers that he maybe shouldn't be killing end up dead. And yeah, just this gradual increase, and we get these little things that make us uncomfortable around Tony and Dave. And I also really appreciate, like, for characters that we only spend a few minutes with, they manage to give them a lot of personality. And yeah, and I don't know if Fort Bennings is something that, if they were telling the truth about that, because clearly there was at least some deception. Like, right before Rick shoots, yeah, 100% Dave was going to throw the liquor in his face, and that would, there's some chance that Tony and Dave would have been able to take out, because really the let's see, yeah, because like Herschel doesn't even have a gun, does he? Because he doesn't want, yeah, they would definitely have won that. Dave and Tony would have, they just have to, if one of them manages to shoot Glenn before Glenn manages to shoot both of them, and that's almost guaranteed since now it's 2-1. The other one, yeah, at least one of them would survive shooting Glenn, and that one could shoot Rick, hold Herschel at gunpoint, force him to take them to the farm. So him or them. Anyway, yeah, just really, really tense. And this is also, like, as a cop, it's possible he's killed people before, but not quite like this, like, essentially they were in the same boat. He might have shot, like, criminals before. To be clear, I try to empathize with everyone, but it is somewhat different when it's, like, I don't think that the, ultimately, they're at the end, when Tony and Dave try to kill the survivors we've been following, I don't really think, like, other than maybe, well, Shane, not even maybe, other than Shane, I don't think the survivors would have done that, like, they yeah. And they said that there are people who care for them, so that might, there's some chance that's true, and that those people are going to come after them. Like, especially if they already know, oh yeah, Tony, Dave, they went in that direction. We haven't heard from them in a while. Maybe we should send somebody else, and they end up finding the farm after finding Tony and Dave. Yeah, I suppose it's possible that they'll be able to get rid of the bodies so that no one finds them, but it also depends on how far away the others are. And right, this is the first time that, it looked like Rick and Glenn might have to shoot someone when they were dealing with the carers, but, turned out not to be necessary. And yeah, let's see. So this is the first time that he's had to shoot. Like, he's dealt with others that were violent, but he always managed to find. I'm not saying he would have been able to here. I don't really see. I don't know. Could he have just wounded Dave? Tony, it was definitely necessary. Yeah, but yeah, the thing is, the gun was right in front of Dave on the table, so if he only shoots him in the shoulder, there's some chance Dave's going to get the gun and shoot one of the three before. Yeah. I feel like it's fairly, cut and dry, good shooting kind of thing, but that doesn't mean he's not going to feel bad and that there aren't going to be consequences. And yeah, so, Beth faints out of shock, realizing perhaps that now that Sophia has been found, there's going to be some other, some other situation that are going to have to deal with. And Laurie also gets in a car accident, trying to. I mean, it's difficult. You have to avoid distractions when you're driving. She probably should have learned her lines before she drove to set. And that's also something I'm wondering. Like, I feel like they're probably gonna find the car as they drive back to the farm. But if, after a car crash, like, the first chunk of time is crucial to saving that person. And also the unborn baby. Let's see. That does pretty much cover. Let's see. Yeah. Carol, is. Yeah, we see several people grieving. Carol grieves. She rips up the flowers. She's frustrated at having had hope and now feeling like she was a fool. And it is also that thing of, is it better to know right away, or is it good to have hope and then have the hope dashed on rocks? There's. And let's see, and yeah, I really appreciate the Shane taking care of her, and yeah, like, I believe him when he says he really is trying to protect people. Like, I can appreciate, like, Dale basically, Dale is saying, it's just a matter of time before he kills someone else. And I do think there is some truth to that. I do think that Shane is trying to protect and thinks he's doing what it. Yeah. And yeah, Daryl, very frustrated that he's grieving in his own way. Angry that he was not able to save her, and of course also frustrated that he took an arrow and it was meaningless. She was already. And yeah, we did somewhat get an answer about, they said it must have been Otis who got Sophia, and I can see how that happened. We weren't watching him every second. I feel like it would probably have happened before the first time we saw him, but yeah, they found Otis. Otis's bullet found Carl when they were out looking for Sophia. If Sophia almost immediately ended up dead, or let's see, were there enough hours for her to turn? I feel like I could imagine that she died, and then Otis found her body, knowing she would turn into a walker, picked her up, carried her to the barn, and put her there without telling any of the others. Which, like, he doesn't know her. I don't really blame him for not telling, yeah. Let's see. And I think that does pretty well cover. Yeah, excellent with Dale. There's another confrontation between Dale and Shane, and now Dale straight up comes out and tells Lori, he's dangerous, and points out Otis knew how to handle walkers, and I do appreciate he points out, Shane sacrificed Otis. It doesn't, like, it wouldn't really make sense for him to just kill Otis for no reason, but sacrificing him, yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the discussion. Some of the characters actually do think Shane did the right thing. Others, not so much. And yeah, I think that might cover. Let's see. Right. Also, really devastating. This thing of Carl thinks that it was. Yeah, it was right to shoot Sophia, and he would have done it himself. And yeah, because he saw his own father shoot this 12-year-old in the face that he used to play with. So yeah. And we again get, it's a theme. Should Rick stay or should he go? Is it best for him to stay with his family and protect them, or is it yeah, does he have a responsibility to go out and take care of? And you can appreciate, yeah, Herschel's out there. Only way they're going to be able to save Beth. He is the only doctor. And that was also a thing that I really appreciated. Let's say, I think that was the episode before this one, but Shane pointing out to Lori. And I mean, I suppose it is one of those things, it's ultimately a matter of perspective, but yeah, I can see why Shane certainly believes that he was the one who saved them the night with the fish. Rick, he showed up, during it, but they would have been safer if Rick had stayed.